So let's take the notes on section 4 on quadrilaterals. If you're in the non-track class, this is 7.4. If you're in the Pinnacle class, then it is 12.4. So you'll put that number here. You should have received this piece of paper. All right, so let's kind of highlight the marks. If you want, you can color in the shapes. You don't need to. That's not necessary, but you can. But before we color them in, let's kind of highlight the important characteristics of each shape. So these marks on the trapezoid, I'd like you to redraw those because they don't look obviously arrow-like. Those are indicating that those opposite sides are parallel. You look on the parallelogram, these marks here indicate that those sides are parallel, and notice there's a single mark over here to indicate these two sides are parallel, but there's not the same number of marks because like this bottom side and this left side are obviously not parallel. So these two are parallel to each other, and these two are parallel to each other, right? But then obviously since these two intersect, they're not parallel. These marks indicate that the opposite sides are congruent, so that's showing you that those sides are the same length and those sides are the same length. These marks here indicate that these two sides are the same length and these two sides are the same length, but notice that there are different numbers of marks, so these two sides are not the same length. On the rectangle, we see that opposite sides are congruent and that we have 4 right angles. For a rhombus, notice that all of these sides have the same mark. That means that all 4 sides are the same length. And a square is both a rectangle, therefore has 4 right angles, and a rhombus, has 4 congruent sides. So highlight those marks, make those a little darker, and then if you want, you can color those in just to make it pretty, but you don't have to. And then attach this paper here to like the right side of our notebook. Right? Leave a little space here on the left because we're going to fill in one more quadrilateral that they didn't put in our book, which is the isosceles trapezoid. So leave room here to draw that. Okay, so here's what it looks like when it's colored in. And then the quadrilateral that we're going to add is the isosceles trapezoid. That wasn't pictured or highlighted in our book, but it's a common shape that a lot of times we need to know. And that's a trapezoid, so one pair of parallel sides, whose legs, they call the sides that are not the bases, not the parallel sides, the legs, whose legs are the same length. Okay, so we'll add that in there. All right, so at the bottom of the page, we're going to do an investigation to see what the sum of the angle measures of a quadrilateral is. At the bottom of the page, draw 2 rectangles. This is where we'll put kind of like the title of our investigation, and here's where we'll put our conclusion of what we figured out. And then we're going to draw kind of a box around that. So move down a little bit from the top of this box so that it's almost like this box is sitting on top. The box that we drew is sitting on top of this other one. So we're going to, from kind of like over on the side here, we're going to draw out and out. And then down to, again, the same idea. Move up a little bit so that that kind of sticks out down there. Same thing on this side, and then connect those sides. Okay, so in this box, we're going to write sum of the angle measures of a quadrilateral. And at the bottom, we're going to write the sum of the angle measures of a quadrilateral is, and then we'll investigate that in class. And we'll leave that open-ended because we'll figure that out together in class. All right, and let's kind of just make this stand out a bit. And make the bottom stand out a bit. Okay, and then in this area, tomorrow we'll do our investigation, and then we'll write our conclusion here. And that's all you need to do for your quadrilateral notes.